Let's try the next switching lab. If we look at switching 2 has got some tasks that it wants us to perform. This is the step from the past lab, right, where we only had one switch. Now we're going to add a router, okay, and we want packets to get routed between the VLANs. So if you think about it, what you had before was you had the red VLAN, and these two machines could talk to each other. You had the blue VLAN, and these two machines could talk to each other, but the red and blue VLAN could not talk. Now implemented a router, and now via a router you're going to be able to cross these two layer 2 boundaries. Now we don't do this anymore. Now what you have layer 3 VLANs. You can do everything that I'm showing you right now without a router in it, because the switch itself can do routing. You don't need to do this stuff for your Cisco security exams. You really don't. I'm only doing this because I just feel like it's good for students to have done it once or twice. Not like if you were studying for CCNA route switch, you'd have to memorize this stuff like you really would. I'm just doing this so you can have some exposure to it, play with it a little bit. But what happens is a lot of people come in and take these exams or take these classes and they kind of don't have the background, or if they do, they haven't touched the stuff in 10, 15 years. You'd really be surprised, myself included. Still the same thing. Put the 2 red guys in the VLAN, put the 2 blue guys, assign F010, this guy right here, assign that one to VLAN 10, and then assign F011, that's this one, put him on VLAN 20. Then he says set the router's address FA0 with the last usable address in the subnet, make sure the host is up. So that means F00 and F01. Create a VLAN interface 10 and assign the IP address of 10.0.0.2. So we looked at the instructions. The instructions are pretty much the same. We just got to add a router. So let's enable. Let's conf T. Okay, let's set VLAN 10. Let's name it the Red Wedding. Okay, or as John would say with his favorite movie, you're about to be wooed. Okay, interface F01, switch port mode, access, switch port, access VLAN 10. Okay, then I'll do the same thing for 2, access 10, and pop out of it. Then say VLAN 20, name blue VLAN. Right, now I'll do the same thing with 3 and 4. I gotta go to the interface. So interface 3, access 20, interface 4, access 20. Now I've got to configure, 10 and 11. 10 is going to be red, 11 is going to be blue. Doesn't look like I have to configure any encapsulation. Then I'm going to give the switch an IP address. So let's pop out of that. Okay, so interface F0, let's do 10 first. So we'll do interface 10, same thing, switch port mode access, VLAN 10. Now I'll do 11 switch port mode access VLAN 20. Now what we've done is this interface on the switch, this interface on the switch, and this interface on the switch are all configured for the red VLAN. This one on the switch, this one on the switch, and this one on the switch are all configured for blue. So if you look at it, what that means is now I need to configure the router to handle that VLAN. And then here I need to configure the router to handle the VLAN over here. Okay, so this way the router connects both the red and the blue VLANs. Okay, so I'm gonna go up here, I'm gonna click on the router, and the router you have to do the same thing, right? So if I do a question mark here, I only have a few commands. If I enable, right, and I do a question mark, I have more commands. So I'm gonna comp T, and now I'll go interface F00. So this is me configuring this interface. So let's see if when I configure the router, it comes up. So I'm gonna do that and set an IP address. 10.0.0.254. 255.255.255.0. I'm shut. Okay. And let's jump over here. Now let me try this on the switch. Okay, so now you can see on the switch, this interface came up. Look, 010, this interface is now up. Okay, so now let me do it again on there. So interface 10, access. Exit, let's see. Okay. All right, so if I configure it on the router, then I can come back and configure it on the switch. All right, cool. So now I'll do the same thing on the router. And exit on the router. If I go back to the switch, I should see a new interface just came up. See it? Okay, 11 is now up. Okay, so the switch is now telling me that both of these interfaces are up now that the router can talk to them. The router's trying to talk to this guy, the router's trying to talk to that guy. So now I got to configure the blue side. So I'm just going to up arrow, right, that switch port mode access, and then it should just be switch access VLAN 20, and then exit out of that. Let's check over here, and it's all done. Okay. All right, so pretty interesting. This is not necessary anymore. Like, don't go to the job and start talking about how to set inter-VLAN routing by intermingling a router. When you hear the guys at the job talk about layer 3 switches, what that means is the switch can now do what I'm showing you right here without needing the router. You can have one VLAN talk to another VLAN without the aid of a router today.